Hey everyone, it's me. I wanted to make a video because today I actually, for the first time, filed a report with CID, which is, I think, the Criminal Investigation Division, which is through the military. And today, for the first time in 29 years, I talked to someone and reported my rape. I was investigated by a gentleman who was very kind. And I wanted to state that I went through a lot of questions. I went through a lot of questions prior to talking about the incident, and I'm a little shaky today, so you'll have to excuse the camera. I'm going to try and lay this on my knee if I can just hold it steady. So anyways, I want to say what you should do if you wait to report a rape until later on, which is a year, 5, 10, 20, 30 years down the line, and the information you should gather and hold on to so that when it's time to talk, you have as much information written down as possible. Even if you write it down in bits and pieces, it's important to do it puzzle piece by puzzle piece so you can make a complete puzzle and give the investigator a complete picture of the incident. Now, they ask where the incident took place, so it's always important you write down the address, the room, the place. If it's outside of a residence, you have to write down exactly where it took place. Even if it was in a vehicle, you have to write down the type of vehicle, the color of the vehicle, who owned the vehicle at the time, etc., or who you think owned the vehicle. You have to go about talking about what time of day it was. You should get, if you don't remember the exact date, try to recall the time of year it was. Mine, I know it happened in early 1990, which would have been around spring of 1990, and I remembered specific the around the time period because I know after my rape I went on and moved on with my fiance, and I got pregnant and I gave birth to my daughter the following April, so I was able to count back until the date of conception and just a couple of months prior. So I remembered that. They ask you what you were wearing. They ask you, what did you smell? What do you remember? You can remember smells like cologne, or if there was alcohol in that person's breath. They try to ask you questions about the room. They asked me questions about the room I was in. And then they will ask you very detailed information about the attack or the rape, and you just have to recall exact as many details as possible. They could ask you regarding the penetration, um, what position you were in, which direction you were, what side of the room you were in. Do you recall getting any evidence from the rape? I recalled a lot of details, and I told the investigators that if the anyone needs me to go back to Fort Lewis and takes me to that apartment, I said I could tell you exactly which direction to go in that apartment from 30 years ago to get into that room and how that room was set up. So I remembered a certain towel. I remembered, a lot of details. Though what I didn't remember and I didn't ever write down was the clothing that he was wearing that day. I didn't remember when I went to bed if I thought I was wearing a nightgown or a two-piece pajama set. I know that my bottom half was exposed and my top half was not. Things like that, you'll have to remember. If you can write down exact details about that person, any marks on their body, any marks left on your body, etc. So your memory is going to serve as a source of your DNA, which is at that point, past the time. I don't have any quote unquote semen or DNA evidence, but I can tell you the position I was in, what I said, the fact that he did not speak during the attack, um, and so on and so forth. So it's really important to write down exactly what you remember as it comes back to you. And then when you're ready to speak, you have to speak. Now, I think the VA dropped the ball on my situation because I have been fighting for my military sexual trauma claim for approximately 7+ years. And now we're talking 29 years past the date of my rape. And had I filed this about 7 to 10 years ago, it would have been within the statute of, or had I filed within 20 years after my attack, it would have been, I would have been able to prosecute in the state that he lives because there's a 20-year statute of limitations. So if you are attacked, sexually assaulted, etc., even if you're not ready to talk, you have to start looking up, the statutes in your state, and you have to at least tell someone. I recall telling someone 10 years after the fact, but I was not ready to file the report, nor did I think the military was going to do anything because they had not done anything with subsequent or previous sexual harassment that I had experienced in the military. So I'm telling you right now, what's important is that you write down all of the details, that you write down the incident, you write down everything about that day, what you ate, what that person ate, anything that you can remember. Every small detail is important because once it happens, that trauma is ingrained forever. And you'll be out and about, and sometimes something, it's called a trigger. So let's say if a certain song was playing during your attack, when you're driving in the car 20 years later and that song is played, it takes you back to that exact moment during your attack. So it's really important to write down all the fine details and document, 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 and tell someone. I mean, most important is tell someone, because my investigator said, "Did you tell anyone?" And I said, "Yes, I told so and so. Unfortunately, I have that person's phone number because I still talk to that person today." So that's all I'm going to say. Other than that, um, that's hopefully going to help someone. But please document, please write it down, please, put your puzzle together, because when it's time to come forward, the more complete your puzzle, the better your chances are of hopefully pursuing with, a criminal case, etc. So I hope that this helps someone. And if anyone ever needs to talk, you can comment underneath, and I hope I can answer questions and give better direction. But that's all I've got for now. So I'm signing off, and I hope you all have a good day. Bye bye.